Hey, welcome to Loose Change. Still available on vinyl. Yeah, I'm Jim Evans. Great to see you, and we have a great show, and I'm really looking forward to our guest who is standing by, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But first, what's been going on locally? Greg, I don't know if you heard about this. You guys hear about this? A few years ago, a guy locally flew a plane too low over Stambaugh Stadium during a YSU football game, and they found out who he was, and they cited him. And he was just recently sentenced. He got a $1,000 fine, and the judge ordered him to write a letter of apology to the 4,000 fans that were in attendance. And he said, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. I was just trying to impress my friends. All one of them. Unbelievable. You know, you're a pilot, Greg. You have a plane. You want to impress your friends. Take him for a ride around the block. I mean, come on. You know, you simulate a terrorist act. It's unbelievable. And I'm thinking possibly he was maybe trying to impress a woman. I don't know about you, Greg, but I'd much rather get shot down by a woman than an F-16. I don't know. People do the craziest things. Unfortunately, no one got injured, and they were good to go from there. I just saw this article. A group of international economists made up of lists of the world's top 10 economies. I don't remember all 10, but the top 3 were the U.S., China, and the National Football League. It's that big now. It's out of control. It's its own country. It's crazy, actually. And of course, the NFL just came out recently with the schedule for the upcoming season. Teams already knew who they were going to play. It was just a matter of what day and what time. And I noticed the Browns in the 5th week have a bye, while Deshaun Watson still has a weak alibi. I'll go with that. Did you guys hear this? This is true. Actor Robert De Niro just had another child, his 6th or 7th. He's 79 years old. So good for him. I think it's got to put a little squeeze on their family budget, Greg, now that they'll have to buy diapers for 2. So, last show, of course, we mentioned the rock band Aerosmith and their final tour. They're getting up there. Steven Tyler's 75, the rest of the guys right behind. But they're ready to go 40-city tour, and the shows are supposed to be really great in anticipation of that, although they'll be a little bit different. Each show will have an intermission so the band can take a nap. They're working on it. A guy came up to me recently, Greg, and he said, hey, is there a lot of pressure in doing this show and when you work the news? And I thought, well, not really, except for deadline pressure. Remember that in the news, Greg? We had a 6 o'clock, 11 o'clock news, run at the last minute, especially with sports. And even here recently, I was running really late. Greg was all set. Our guest was all set. And I was getting ready, and then I raced downstairs and through the hall, and there happened to be someone out there with a camera who caught me running by, and but we have a clip of that. See the focus on my face. I like that tie, too. I'm going to get that back out. All right, someone who knows a lot more about running is going to join us next. Stick around for Joe Midlick. He's the president of the Youngstown Marathon Foundation. We'll be right back with him after we do this.
Armstrong has been a part of the Mahoning Valley since 1974. We helped you get online with Zoom Internet. Zoom Share made wireless internet a reality. Enhanced Wi-Fi delivered coverage, security, and control of your network. Zoom Extreme brought internet speeds up to 1 gig to the community. And in 2022, Armstrong was named CableFact's Independent Operator of the Year for the 2nd time. When you support Armstrong, you're supporting your local community.
Welcome back to Loose Change. I'm Jim Evans, and I have the great pleasure to be joined by not just your average Joe. He is the president of the Youngstown Marathon Foundation, Joe Midlick. And Joe, thanks so much for being on the show here.
Oh, Jim, thank you for having me. I mean, we really greatly appreciate it. The unit about the Youngstown Marathon Foundation, We're a 501c3 nonprofit, and through our races, we raise money for a couple charities. This year, our charities are the Autism Society of the Mahoning Valley, Buster's Brigade, the Dorothy Day House, and Golden String Radio. So through the races that we have on, the money goes towards them.
That's fantastic. And there's a little more to talk about, which we'll get into. But first, after that, what we like to have our victims or our guests do. For those who don't know where you're from and where you went to school,
Sure.
and how you got to the point you're at with this.
Absolutely. I'm originally from the west side of Youngstown. I went to Cheney High, so west side's the
Cowboys.
best side.
Yeah.
That's right. Then I went on to Youngstown State University. I graduated from Youngstown State University in 1974. And then I went on and I retired from Eastman Kodak. I was a national account manager there.
Oh, wow.
The biggest account I had there was Major League Baseball. So
That's a pretty big account.
Yeah, it was. And so what we did is we hired different photographers from a company called Bella, based in San Francisco, to be at all the different stadiums. And they would take the pictures, and we would do the printing for them.
Wow.
So through that, I've been to all but 3 Major League stadiums.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
So
How did you then morph into a
Running?
marathon path?
Okay, yeah. Well, I started to run in 1999. I gained a bunch of weight. I was up to like 198 pounds. And then I had a goal in life. And my goal in life was to visit all 50 states and run at least one marathon, at least one, before I turned 50. So at the age of 49, I went to Anchorage, Alaska. And that was my 50th state. So I've been to all 50 states. And that's where I ran my first marathon.
Really?
Yeah, and the thing about it is you're going through the woods, and there's signs up there, beware of bears
I was
and so
gonna say,
forth.
man, there's
and
some
you keep
obstacles
going.
there.
And if you ever run a marathon, at least the first time, we ended it on the Anchorage University track. And you see the finish line. And I mean, tears just start coming down because you just completed 26.2 miles. I mean, it's a fantastic feeling. And then after you do it, you're sore for like 18 days.
I'm sure.
Okay, yeah. So and then I could do better than that. So that means it's dragging you in to do more and more marathons. So from that one, I went and did a marathon in Rome, Italy, and
Wow.
then I did a marathon in Sydney, Australia, and then I'll tell you a really quick funny story is
This guy's doing some stuff. Here,
I signed up to do one in Dublin, Ireland. Okay, so my wife and I flew into Dublin. I rented a car, which was the most terrible thing I've ever done in my life because everything is on the opposite end. All right.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
very
getting
good.
lost, and I'm on this on Dublin. And I circled the city of Dublin 3 different times. Not only did I circle it, I paid the same toll 3 different times. Right? And my wife is yelling at me. All right. So we finally get off this one exit. It's a construction site. These big burly guys are yelling at me. What is normally a 3-hour drive from Dublin to the Cliffs of Moher is 3 hours. It took us 6 hours. Because
you should just run.
right, I should have, right, because I kept getting lost, right? So the Cliffs of Moher is beautiful and so forth, right? So we're head back the following day, and we're in downtown Dublin, and I can't find a hotel. So my wife flags down a taxi cab, and she goes, listen, we'll pay you the fare, take us to this hotel. And the taxi cab driver goes, I'll tell you how to get there, it's really easy. My wife goes, no, you don't understand my husband, that's not going to work. She goes, if you want, I'll jump out of this car and jump in your cab. He goes, follow me. So I followed him, got out. I shook his hand. I was giving him a tip. He goes, give me the tip. And I said, hey, listen, you just saved my marriage. You have no idea what it was like in that car, right? So he took my tip and went in, and we went to eat, and we're coming back. And my wife, Donna, goes, we ought to stop and get a beer, and both of us should settle down. I said, you need to settle down, right? So we go to this pub. It's a nice Irish pub, right? And I'm talking to a few folks, and they find out I'm from the States, and I'm running the marathon tomorrow, right? Jim, I did not buy another beer. It just kept coming and coming and coming.
And you had to run the next day.
I'm running the next day, so I look at my watch. It's like midnight, and I went to tell Donna, we got to get out of here. And Donna's gone. She's up on stage doing this Irish jig with all these people she doesn't know, okay? So we finally get out of there, get home. My alarm goes off at 6. I wake up, and I look at Donna. I said, Donna, my eyes are not smiling. I can't run this thing today. So 16 weeks of training for nothing, okay?
Man,
For nothing.
you're
And then
kidding
she goes, are you going to go pick up your T-shirt? I said, no. She goes, you'll probably get lost anyways, right? So what we did that day, instead of me running we actually went to the Guinness plant and drank more. So 16 weeks of running for drinking.
That's dedication, man.
That's dedication, yeah. And so throughout that running, I found out that Youngstown Marathon was starting in 2017. And I contacted the CEO. I said, listen, I'd like to get involved, be a volunteer, help out. And she found out what my background was in sales at Kodak. And she goes, why don't you come on board and be the director of sponsorship? Go out and get the money. I said, I could do that, right? Yeah. And then through the years, I was director of sponsorship, vice president, and now this year I'm president. Just to let you know, we did put the marathon on hold this year for a number of reasons. Part of the race is in downtown Youngstown, and all kind of construction is going on, and it's just so expensive down there. So we decided to put that on hold this year. And what we're going to do is do the half marathon through Mill Creek Park, as well as a half marathon relay for the first time, and a 5K. So what we're doing with the half marathon relay is both for friends and for corporations. What we're trying to do is bring back that old community cup. And
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, remember that.
was
Banks
involved in
against
that.
banks and stores against stores and so forth. So that's what we're pumping up this year.
I blew out my right hamstring running a relay in that for Channel 27. Were you in that, Greg, in any of those games?
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
oh,
but-
boy.
In fact, they had tug of war.
Yeah,
and-
it was everything. It was a lot of
right.
fun.
It was a lot of fun. So now we're doing that with the half marathon relay. It's really easy. It's only 4.2 miles per person, basically. The middle one is 4 miles. And the great thing about it, where the exchange takes place, it's all at the same place. It's right by Latterman's Falls. So the second and third relay is there, so everybody could be there at one time cheering you on. You just drive to one spot, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Could there be a much better venue to run a race than Mill Creek Park?
Absolutely not. I mean,
That's-
it is majestic.
Yes.
Yes.
That's a great description.
And it goes through all of it, through the Silver Bridge, Latterman's Falls. So we pinpoint all of that. The other thing is we have music throughout the half marathon. Different bands are playing. You get to vote on who has the best band, and then we give that group $250 if it's high school or so forth. And they, not only are they bands, but they also dress in a theme, so they're having a good time there. So it's just a lot of fun.
Sounds like it for
And
sure.
one of the great things about it, at the end of the race, Penguin City beer is there, and it's free to all the runners. So you can't get much better than that. There's one track mind for beer, okay?
That's all right. Like a half marathon thing, is there a limit on the number of participants, or just
Nope.
go as you can?
Yep, as many as, there's no limit, so just come on down and have fun.
Yeah. Just get back to your personal experiences, though, where you've run. Besides that story in Ireland, of course, you didn't end up running. What race maybe stood out more than another, perhaps? The Alaska experience was...
Rome, Italy was just gorgeous, okay, because you go past the Colosseum, the circus, all that stuff. The only negative thing about it, 80% of the run is either on cobblestones or brick roads. So when I finished, I saw people, stopping and adjusting gauze between their toes and so forth. When I got to my hotel and took off my shoes, I had nothing but blood on my socks because my toenails cracked. Yeah. But it was
you
a
can't
beautiful
train
run.
for that, though, can
No,
you?
you can't. You can't. No.
Did you know that going in, that would be the
I did not.
surface?
I should have researched that better, but I did not. And then another really difficult run I did, it was a half marathon, and that was in Lake Tahoe, because I did not train for the altitude. And it was the only race ever that I got sick at.
Really?
Yeah. I just couldn't catch my breath at the end.
How do you? I could never do it. If I could run 26 miles, I wouldn't stop. I'd just keep going. I'd still be running. I'd run through here, whatever. But how do you train?
You try.
What's the key?
Yeah, the basic thing is the good plan is do 16 weeks of training, and it's a gradual train to get to that 26.2 miles. You train 5 out of 7 days, okay? And then there are some days in which you break it down in which there are sprints involved. So the key to this is working that out and getting your breathing done. That's more important than anything else.
How do you allow your body to recover after? Or it just
It's
it
nothing
does it
but
on its
rest.
own.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
okay.
nothing but rest. Yeah. You learn to walk upstairs backwards. Seriously, I'm serious.
Well, hey,
You do.
whatever you
Yeah.
have to do. So, but take us through for those who have not done it. While you're running the race, there's obviously different points along the way. I would think where maybe you have a more of a challenge as you always hear about hitting that wall.
Yeah.
Does that happen?
It does. With me, and it's all 3 times. It's that wall between 20 and 21 miles.
I've heard that.
Yeah,
yes.
for some odd reason, it hits you there, and you almost get to the point, I don't know if I can make this. But, you kick it in. What I do is on all my runs, I have earbuds on. I'm listening to music, something like Bruce Springsteen to keep you going. And I just turn it up that way.
So as much as anything, I mean, you've trained physically, it becomes more of a mental.
Yeah, physically, and you have to watch what you eat on top of that.
Okay.
So you really need your diet, your nutrition. Follow that really well.
How far out do you or you do that around the clock?
Yeah, around the clock, but that's 16 weeks. You really train hard with the nutrition. You got to get those carbs in, get that pasta in the day before. So
that's a real thing.
it is.
You hear that, and
Yeah,
that pays
absolutely.
dividends.
Yep, it sure does.
What advice would you give to somebody who wants to maybe take up,
Think up a marathon?
sport? Yeah.
The key to do is do the proper training. And you could go online or even go to Second Soul, and they'll give you a 16-week training program.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they'll start you from day 1 to the last day of that 16 weeks. So I highly recommend contact somebody like Mark Lipinski at Second Soul, and you'll put that plan together for you. That will fit you on what you want to do, what your time want to be, and so forth.
Our time for this first segment shows 0, so we're going to take a break. Greg
Okay.
says. So you can hang around, right?
Yeah,
All
I sure
we'll
could.
be right back with more Joe Midlick here on Loose Change. Hang around.
Supercharge your internet. Only Zoom Extreme from Armstrong combines unlimited data with whole home Wi-Fi at the fastest speeds possible. Zoom Extreme from Armstrong.
Back with Joe Midlick. I'm Jim Evans, and we're talking about marathon running here. And have you seen an increase in participation, more people doing this from the time you started to now at this point?
There's a yes and no answer to that. Okay, when
Let's
we first,
have it.
Yeah, first started, yes, there was an increase, going and going. Then unfortunately, COVID hit.
Okay.
And then when COVID hit, obviously we had to cancel the race in 2020, and we did the virtual marathon. So you could do it by yourself, the group wasn't there. And since then, the numbers have dropped. So that's why we're encouraging everybody to come on out, get back, get into the groups, and nothing to worry about. So we've been doing a lot of races, the 5Ks, 10Ks, and so forth, and more people are starting to come out.
That's great because we've had people run that I know in Akron and down in Columbus. Columbus was really big last year.
Yes, right.
Have you ever gone down just to see that and you participate in that or not? But
See, the thing is with Columbus, at least last year, it was 2 weeks before our race. And so was Cleveland.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
So a lot of those races that were in the spring prior dropped to the fall.
Okay.
But this year, things are getting back to normal, where the Columbus Marathon is back in the spring. The Cleveland Marathon was just last week, I think. And Pittsburgh Marathon is this weekend.
Okay.
So all those were right around ours within 4 weeks. Now, how many people could run 4 marathons in 4 weeks? Not too many.
Yeah. Maybe Greg. I don't know. The way he's moving around these
Right.
days. Is spring more ideal than fall?
Not in Mill Creek Park.
Okay. Right. for
Right.
the
Mill
scenic,
Creek Park for the foliage.
Yeah.
We were actually listed in Runner's World magazine, which is the Bible of the runners, as one of the 5% most difficult marathons to run.
I had heard that
Yeah.
somewhere. Yeah.
So it's an incredible run. All the elevation is like 1,500 feet, so there's a lot of hills going up and down. So when I was talking about training, make sure you do the training on those hills too. Don't rely on the treadmill. You have to go out there and do it.
Whole different thing
Yeah.
out on the surface than the treadmill. That's
Yeah.
for sure. Even just if you're running a mile, I've noticed the
Sure.
difference in that. Are you going to be doing any more, at least a half marathon? Are you going to be participating in that?
I'm 70 now, so my marathon days are behind me.
Okay.
The most I'll ever do is a 10-miler, and this is going to be a great segue.
Well, you
okay?
ran over here, didn't you? I didn't hear a
Yeah,
car come
sure
up,
I did.
so
Yeah.
Still doing it.
2 years ago, I did the Pittsburgh 10-miler, okay? And it was a really cool run because at every mile, it was dedicated to something at Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah?
Anything from the food there, like the French fries or pierogies, or people from Pittsburgh, the famous Mr. Rogers. They had a Rogers mile. So when I got back to Second Soul, who's one of our key sponsors for the marathon, I saw Mark, we could do this in Youngstown. Okay, what we could do is a taste of Youngstown, right? And I initially told him, let's do a 10K in downtown. And he looked at me like I'm stupid. I'm not stupid, but he just looked at me. And he goes, Joe, we can't do a 10K in downtown Youngstown. And it's a 4K. It's a Friday 4K, or it's a 0.0.
So Friday evening,
It's a Friday evening.
6 o'clock, I
6
saw.
o'clock, and it starts and finishes, guess, at Penguin City.
Okay.
Back to the beer.
A lot
you
of
know?
incentive
Right.
to get back
Yeah.
in. So.
It's all family involved, so all the kids could come and so forth. So we have a wide variety of food. We have the food, like I said, it's a taste of Youngstown. So there's a Youngstown theme to this. So anything from Briar Hill Pizza to pierogies.
You got it all written down.
Yeah, to pierogies, wedding soup, peppers and oil, Italian greens and beans. Last year we did this, and that was the #1 request, is we did not have Italian greens and beans.
Uh-oh.
So we got it this
trouble,
year
man.
from Jimmy's Italian Specialty. They jumped on, yeah, Joe, we'll do that for you guys. So the Briar Hill Pizza's from Pizza Joe's, pierogies from Lena's Pierogi House, wedding soup from Love Soup, peppers and oil from Ambrosi's, the Sunday gravy and pasta from Giarussa's, monkey salad from Antone's, the world-famous blueberry donuts from White House Farms, Penguin City beer, DeRusso sausage, and a Youngstown theme is we have a huge, huge cookie table. I think
I was going to ask you that. You beat me to it.
yeah, right now I think we're at 750 cookies that will be there. We'll have little bags so you can take some cookies
God,
home.
like that.
And right now on this TV station, on this show, we're going to announce a special coupon code. So you put this coupon code into youngstownmarathon.com where you sign up, and you'll get $5 off on either the 4K or the 0.0. And the coupon code is cookie table, all capital letters.
Nice.
So you can't forget that.
Nice. That's great. You have all those wonderful places, participate.
Yeah, yeah. And we have live music by Andy Briegel, and what a great name. This guy who, his percussionist, his name is Marino November. What a great name. So,
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's up there. Mention some of the, you mentioned earlier, but touch on the key sponsors and
Yeah.
those that are helping to make this happen. Make sure you hold on.
Our key sponsors this year are Huntington Bank, and they've been with us from basically day one. Second Soul, Armstrong is one of our sponsors. They were a big sponsor last year. They helped more than monetarily too with commercials and so forth. Last year with the commercial.
Greg. Give Greg
Yeah.
a hand, right.
Last year, the commercial that we did for the marathon, we actually had one of the Vindy songs in the background.
Okay.
And it was really cool. It was great. And the folks from the Vindys are just fantastic.
What, I can't imagine how do you set these things up? Take us through the process of planning of, even just the race and or otherwise.
But what we do is on our board, we have assignments. Okay, we have a marketing director, we have the sponsorship director,
Okay.
and each one of those folks have their own responsibility. We meet once a month. They have assignments. They bring it back to us, and then we have some group thinking and thinking, what if we do this? What if we do that? And it just blossoms and blossoms and blossoms. So.
Have you seen over the course of the recent years here, I guess specifically to our area, perhaps an influx of younger people that are involved in the events themselves?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, especially the winners of the marathons and half marathons are generally in their mid-20s. So, yeah, and obviously in all the races that we have division winners by age brackets. So it's not just one overall winner.
Yeah,
it's male, female, but by your age bracket.
I just wondered if, if the younger demographic is really into this.
Yeah, you think about there's certain communities in the area, like McDonald and Maplewood and those guys, they just breed runners.
Yeah, that's true.
And they just come out and do this. So, or if they don't come out after high school, they come out and be volunteers, work at the water tables.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Will there be prize money at all in the?
It's not prize money. As always remember, we're
That's
a
right.
501c nonprofit.
Okay, so-
but we do give trophies, we do give plaques, medals, and so forth, and a lot of recognition on radio and TV.
That's fantastic. You mentioned that it's going to be a half marathon coming up in the fall.
Yeah.
When do you see possibly getting back to maybe a full marathon? When construction slows down?
Slows down, yeah. When construction
it's
slows
complete?
down, and next year, I think it's the 50th anniversary of the Youngstown Peace Race. Talking about the marathon, I mentioned to you this. There's a lady from Pittsburgh. Her name is
Yes, I'm glad you-
Marie Bartoletti. I think she's 70 years old. She had a stroke 7 years ago. And she's one of our pacers for the marathon. And she's currently on her 750th marathon. I mean, I've only ran 3.
I
I
just
feel
pulled
humble.
my other hamstring just thinking
Right.
about that. That's incredible. How could she? How could someone do that?
And she wrote a book called Perseverance, and it's about her life and about the stroke and how she kept running and so forth. I got a signed copy from her, and she's a fabulous lady.
For sure. To do this, once you get involved in running like this, not so much events, but just the participation. Once you get into this, I got to think it has you hooked.
It has you hooked, and a lot of it is because of the runners, all right? And it's like a community, and they're there to cheer you on. And as you're running with somebody else, you're talking to them at times. And then when you come back to the finish line, people just gather and celebrate and talk about different things during the race. Maybe you had a cramp or something, or this one hill was kicking your butt. And it's just a great, great community. It's really a community helping community. The runners and the walkers are helping us, helping our charities.
Fantastic. And it's a real sense of accomplishment, obviously.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You put all this work in, and then
Yeah.
you complete this,
Yeah,
this
I mean,
really difficult task.
Right. A lot of people go for their PRs. A lot of people are social runners that just want to go and have a good time. And going back to the Taste of Youngstown with the 0.0, anybody that does that, I guarantee they'll have their PR.
Tell us what the PR is.
That is your personal record. It's
Okay.
your best time.
All right.
So
And again, one more time before we leave, the Taste of Youngstown coming up.
it's June 9th at 6 o'clock at Penguin City. There's a 4K, a 0.0, and a kids race there. And then the Youngstown Marathon itself is October 22nd. And the day prior, we have a health and wellness expo at the YMCA in Boardman.
Great. Sounds fantastic. Joe, thanks so much for coming in. We're out of time. Greg is giving us the cue. And best of luck with everything coming up with the Taste of Youngstown and then, of course, the marathon and everything in the future. And we'll check back in with you, see how it's going.
Thank you. And
your phone's going
my
off.
phone's
That means
going off.
it's time to wrap it up here. Joe Midlick.
sorry about that.
We'll be back to wrap it up here on Loose
I
Change
thought I
after
shut
this.
it off.
That's fantastic.
Supercharge your internet. Only Zoom Extreme from Armstrong combines unlimited data with whole home Wi-Fi at the fastest speeds possible. Zoom Extreme from Armstrong.
Well, that's going to do it for our show. Greg, you flew your plane over here, right? So that's how you got here. Hey, thanks so much to Joe Midlick, and best of luck to everything Youngstown Marathon. Thanks as always to Greg Roten, all of you for checking in with us and being here and viewing and listening. And I'm Jim Evans. You know what? We'll see you next time right here on Loose Change. I'm out.